Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So today is going to be a review of a 3-year-old palette. Let me tell you the story on this. I have been on the hunt to try and find different indie brands to test out. There are a lot of creators that talk about, I don't know, the same 10 all the time, but I was reading online different websites and I found myself on a Reddit thread where somebody had mentioned, I think, this particular palette from Black Moon Cosmetics. So I went to their website and it looks like they've got a couple of different palettes, but this one had, I think, a little bit more variety. It had both mattes and shimmers in it. The packaging just looked interesting. So I placed an order for the Urban Myth palette, and I didn't do any research on YouTube before purchasing the palette, and I recently did a video, and I will link it up in the cards here, of all of the indie brand shadows that I recently hauled. And I said in that video that if you guys are interested in seeing me test any of the palettes, to just let me know, and if there was a consensus, I would. I think there were a couple of you that said, yeah, we'd like to see Black Moon Cosmetics in action. And happenstance, I ended up almost the very next day seeing on Makeup on Your Radar's Instagram page a new release from, guess who? Black Moon Cosmetics. I have been following Makeup on Your Radar's Instagram page for probably 2 years, and I have never seen anything new pop up from Black Moon Cosmetics, unless I just didn't recognize the brand and I didn't register it, but I'm pretty sure I've never seen a post from them. So I think it was just kind of coinkydink. But dropping this Friday on 4/19, which for me is tomorrow, because it's Thursday today, I don't think I'll have this video up by Friday, so these will probably have launched by the time this video goes out. These are Moon Diamond Loose Iridescent Pigments, so they can be used for anything. Essentially, they say eyes, lips, face, body to highlight, transform as the topper or its own with a primer. It looks like it probably comes in 6 different shades. You guys, I'll show you some pictures. It says the new Moon Diamonds, and then these iridescent beauties come in 3 magical shades. So it looks like 3 shades of the Moon Diamonds and then 3 shades of the iridescent loose pigments. Anyway, it doesn't say how much they're gonna retail for. Not many people have commented on this particular post. After posting that video, I ended up seeing other creators, Lauren May Beauty and then Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner. They posted about this palette's release 3 years ago. So this is a 3-year-old palette. I did do a little bit of a swatch on it. I kind of featured a little bit in that video, as I did all of those palettes, but I figured since they have new releases and a couple of you said you would like to see this palette in action, let's do it today. That's what we're gonna do. I know that was a long-winded intro, but I did want to at least feature their new items. They also have a ton of liquid shadows on their site that look so good and like duochrome. I don't know if they're multi-chrome, but they look like duochrome. They look like even metallic liquid shadows. They have on their site 2 other palettes that didn't look as interesting to me. They don't come in this type of packaging. And they also have some really fun metallic lips, which I already featured, like at least swatching this that I picked up from the site at the same time that I got the palette. So let's swatch this full thing out in the event that you're new and you didn't see any of my swatches, plus I didn't swatch all of them. The first thing that I noted on this is how absolutely gorgeous this packaging is. It's really cool. I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, a lot of their theming is like very dark. I just thought this was cool, even though I'm not necessarily into mythical things, but you've got the Loch Ness Monster, a UFO back there. Overall, just kind of cool anyway. Pretty good quality packaging. And then inside the mirror is a UFO. Isn't that kind of cute? Anyway, let's swatch this whole thing out. I don't know exactly what look I'm gonna do just yet, but as you can see, it's a pretty colorful palette and you have a corresponding matte to shimmer. And some of these formulas in the shimmers obviously look a little bit different. In swatching them, I think the ones over here are a little bit more foiled and metallic, and they kind of get softer as they gradually go left for me. And I'm pretty sure this purple one is a duochrome in Paranormal. Let me throw on some music while we do this a little bit of swatching so we're not sitting here in absolute silence. I'm actually going to swatch all of the shimmers first from left to right and then the mattes from left to right. So let's get into it. I did mention in that video, you guys, the one thing I'm a little worried about is that this palette is a little bit older. Some of these shimmers felt pretty dry when I was swatching them. That is a concern. This is honestly just more like a topper. It doesn't have a huge base to it. Not really a shade that I feel like is going to be super standout. That one is Area 51 is the shade name. That one feels super hard pressed in the pan. Like maybe they even hand pressed these. It's kind of how this feels. This is an indie brand out of Los Angeles, California. I'm trying to like swatch it again They very well could still hand press this. All right, so I loosened a lot of the pigment up with like my fingernail, and then it became more intense. I honestly think these are hand pressed. I don't think a machine did this at all. Not the way they look here. I think it was hand pressed and it was pressed too hard. This one is Boogeyman, which is just a metallic light green. But see how much more creamy and pigmented it was on like first swatch as opposed to this one? The next one looks like a really soft flat shimmer that isn't foiled, isn't like super textured. This one is in Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, see, that one felt a lot creamier and not as dry as that first one. So I have hope for these. That one's just not super light reflecting. It's not like sparkly or anything. The next one in Paranormal is the one I thought was potentially like a duochrome, but I don't know. Maybe not necessarily here. These seem to get thinner as the palette goes on, more like satin shades. This next one is in Bloody Mary, and it is, in fact, the softest, thinnest one of all these shimmers. Maybe even the most creamy too. Kind of weird. I don't know if that was like meant to be like that. Let's read the description of this palette. So it retails for $38 and it says, this wild combo of bold, deep jewel tones paired with striking matching shimmers will make you want to believe. Oh, it does say 3 intense foil shades, which I'm sure are the first 3, 1 duochrome, which is the purple one, and then 1 metallic, which I think is the red, so that is true. Yeah, duochrome lilac with Arctic blue shift. It's not super shifty at all. It says that Black Moon Cosmetics has been striving since early 2015 to bring you quality, cruelty-free, and vegan beauty products from the darker side to grace that beautiful face of yours. They began their journey with their innovative liquid lipstick formula, and they made their way to eye, body, and face products. They're inspired by the mysteriously magical moon and all its emanating beauty. It combines the darkly with the colorful and shiny to create an ethereal makeup world you'd have to see in person to believe. Okay. It says, thank you from the bottom of our black little hearts. They do offer free shipping, orders over $45, so maybe I didn't end up paying for shipping on this. So now it makes a little bit more sense that they have different formulas in here. The only thing I worry about is that this shade is just so dry and super hard pressed. I can make it work, but it's really pretty chunky. It doesn't have a strong base to it. All right, let's start swatching these mattes, and that was on my little sidetrack there, which was great. This is Mothman. It almost has like a green tinge to it. I think it's supposed to be like a taupe, but like in person, it's almost got like an olive undertone. Now let's do Crop Circles, which is the matte green. I have to say the mattes feel so much better than the shimmers, which is almost sometimes the opposite of what I get. This one in Loch Ness, the blue one, I did swatch last time, and it was the one that was the hardest to really get a decent, like solid swatch out of. Still kind of the same thing here. Yeah, it like skipped over the crease in my skin when I was kind of like dragging it. It's not the greatest swatch. I do not have a whole ton of faith in that blue matte shade. And let's do Chupacabra, which is the matte purple. I want to say I swatched this one too, and it was also, yeah, just a little dry. Didn't swatch the greatest. These ones seem like they're more hard pressed in the pan, the blue and the purple. They're just harder to get really any pigment up. Let's do Bigfoot, which when I was talking about it in the last video, this was the first matte that I swatched. And when I swatched it, all of this powder came up and fell like on the floor. It swatches really great and it's really intensely pigmented, but it's so loosely pressed in here that I'm getting a lot of like kickback, like chunky bits of kickback. So there's the full color story, you guys. It is not the most impressive swatches that I've ever done. It's not the most impressive shimmers. That one they're calling a duochrome doesn't really shift for me. Some of these mattes feel a little bit powdery. I'm just a little bit skeptical of the quality of this. So let's get it to the eyes and see what happens. I am thinking I want to do a green and burgundy look today. I am just feeling greens right now. I have set my eyes with the NYX Ultimate eyeshadow base, and then I am going to be using clean brushes. None of these have been used with any other shadow. Hopefully that helps. We'll really be able to test the performance of these shades. These brushes are from Clarity Cosmetics. They came in like a little set, and I'm probably going to speed through this process. I'm going to take Mothman first as a transition shade. I'm going to take the green and crop circles all over, and I'm going to deepen with Bigfoot in the outer corner. I don't know exactly what shimmer I'm going to use yet, but I'm thinking Boogeyman because it was a creamier and more light reflecting shimmer. So let's start with that. If I deviate, you guys, I will let you know. Okay, not kidding. I literally just took that off. Even though I like to use a primer to increase the longevity and the pigmentation of a palette because it really does help, I have come to find, I have gone back and forth on my belief in that, but I do feel like the pigment and the color lasts a lot longer when I wear a primer. However, I do not feel like it was laying on top of it very nicely. It was skipping in certain areas. It was kind of dragging. I did not love it. I want to test this without any eyeshadow primer to see it lay just across my unadulterated skin. I did not feel like personally struggling with that. All right, I think they're dry now. Let's try that again. Okay, I am absolutely struggling with this green shade. Even on a bare lid, nothing on it. It is skipping along my skin. The pigment isn't laying evenly. This looks like a natural disaster right here. This looks awful. I ended up having to switch brushes to a brush that I really like that's a little bit more fluffy to see if I can't like buff out some of the skipping that's happening, and it doesn't appear to want to move. This is one of my Spectrum B06 brushes. It again was also clean. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see just like how patchy the green looks. I mean, it looks like I just started eyeshadow for the first time. That's kind of how bad this looks, and it doesn't have to. It could have easily buffed out. This looks really patchy, like extremely patchy. One of the most patchy shadows, matte shadows I have used in a long time. I was kind of afraid of this. I'm really struggling. Like, it's not moving. I might be able to save it with this Bigfoot shade. Let's attempt to continue to save this, shall we? So I think I did it. I think I did what I was intending to do. Let me give you the things that are in my head right now. Let me just spit it all out. That Mothman shade was fine. It was so lightly pigmented. I mean, there wasn't anything wrong with it. The crop circles, disastrous. Totally disastrous. The look was saved by the Bigfoot shade. But I don't know if you guys can tell, but it looks hard panned, but it's still kicking up an immense amount of product. Even though it kind of looks hard panned, it's like crumbly, it's falling apart. And I don't think it came out burgundy when it got to my eyes. It kind of comes out like this muddy brown color. That Boogeyman shade, the green shimmer, was perfect. Like, it was actually really nice and light reflecting. It was pretty punchy when it went onto the eyes. I liked using my finger with it, plus I loved using like a dampened brush with it. Both methods worked really well. I almost feel like this is gonna end up being my favorite shimmer of the palette, which is not saying a whole lot, I think, with the other shades that we swatched, because they're just so much lighter. There is, though, virtually no fallout here. And this is not my favorite created eye look so far. I think mostly because that Bigfoot shade just looks brown. But it definitely was different than what I thought it was going to be in terms of like the look. I need to finish the rest of my makeup now, my base makeup, so that we can finish up this eye look, and I also want to throw on some lashes. So let me speed through that process. I'm going to throw on my Lancome Tinted Idol Ultra Rare Care and Glow foundation, my Always concealer. Okay, let's finish the eye look. I'm actually going to take the Bloody Mary shade, the one that's the metallic, I guess, just the red, on the lower lash line, and we'll see how that works. That's probably not what I would normally do, but I want to try it. And then I'm going to take my Supernova Multichrome Gel Liner in Rhea from Moira Beauty for the waterline. Now I'm going to take that silver shimmer in the inner corner and hope for the best. This one is the one that like doesn't stick anywhere, so I don't think it's going to be high impact. I mean, it's alright. Like once I've kind of like built it up. It's not intense though. I am going to put on some Ardell Wispies. These are 122s that I picked up at, I don't know, Big Lots or something like that. And I'm also using my 2-in-1 Lash Adhesive and Waterproof Liner from Moira Beauty. I hate to use this word that I know upsets a lot of people. Content creators use it, but I'm genuinely obsessed with this particular product. Having found it, I literally haven't been able to use anything else to apply my lashes. And now I'm using literally the only mascara I use on my lower lash line, which is the e.l.f. Lash Extender Mascara. I just called it the lower lash line, but I meant the lower lash is. I have touched up this eyeshadow so many times, you guys, and just something about it doesn't seem right. Like, I've definitely taken it higher and higher and higher and higher because I don't like the way this has blended out. It didn't like blend the greatest. I'm like missing pieces out here. I think it's like starting to fade. I definitely think it's like over blending, which is like just dissipating into nothingness. And now it's even more uneven. Like on this left side here. Here are some of my thoughts on this palette. I really liked this green shimmer. I felt like this was gonna be trickier for me in the shimmers, and I feel like the shimmers probably were the easier bit to handle with this. I really loved taking this Bloody Mary shade, the red shade, for the lower lash line. It was actually super creamy, nicely pigmented. It's not a huge surface to cover, but it worked really well and I liked it. This shade right here, you guys, it's very patchy. It was better than the green shade in terms of not skipping, but I feel like it was diffusing out, which is something I dislike. I think the mattes here are just trickier. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. The shimmers honestly turned out to be the best part about this, and I feel like I said the opposite when we first started, but so in application it was just different. It just wasn't the same. This is not my favorite eye look because of that deepest shade. I kept, again, like bringing it higher and higher and higher. I like the packaging, but the mattes are hard. They're hard. They're very, very tricky. They were not my favorite. And I'm never going to get anything neutral out of this, so I'm always going to have to take one of the mattes to create an eye look here. And I would not use this as a companion palette for the quality of these shimmers. They're just not standout. But those are really my thoughts given my skill level and my preference. I still have to throw on the lipstick here. So I have mine in the shade DeVille, and one of you commented that Black Moon Cosmetics has been known to do a lot of their liquid to matte metallic lips. This happens to be, I think, the only metallic and the one that I hit. Like I was selecting finish and then this one was metallic. I have swatched this. It's not overly metallic though. Like it doesn't have this like frosty finish to it. Really small doe foot applicator. It's a super thin formula, but I haven't put it to my lips yet, so let me line them. The only lip liner that I have probably this deep is from Patrick Ta in the shade That's Why She's Late. That one felt like it was getting a little dry. Let's throw this on. That's really pretty. I don't know if it goes with this eye look, but it is really pretty. That's the coolest thing I have in my collection. That shade is so hot. This is so pretty. I would get more of these for sure. It's comfortable. It has like a little bit of stickiness to it, but I bet if we topped this with a gloss, let's try it. I'm gonna take a Lunar Beauty lip oil to this. See what happens. Oh look, zero transfer. Cool. This is one of the coolest things I've ever worn on my lips ever. All right, I definitely approve of the liquid to matte in the metallic finish of these lip products. Again, you guys, this is in the shade DeVille. Super cherry red color. It's so cool. Honestly, I've never worn anything like this cool on my lips before. But that's the review of the palette, you guys, in a nutshell. I'll continue to use this and it'll go into a ranking video in July when I do my Q2 eyeshadow ranking of all the palettes that I tried in Q2. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And if you have tried this palette or this brand, I'd love to hear your feedback on it. And that is all for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm out of here. I hope to catch you all in my next one. Bye guys.